Hello, listeners. Welcome to The Planet Scientist. Imagine, if you will, a quiet room at twilight. The world outside has settled into its evening rhythm, and somewhere in the distance, a gentle melody drifts through the air. Perhaps it's the soft murmur of a piano or the whispered strings. Your breathing naturally slows. Your shoulders release tension you didn't know you were carrying. This is the beginning of our journey together. A slow, contemplative exploration of one of humanity's most profound mysteries, the way music touches our minds, our hearts, our very souls. Tonight, we'll walk through the invisible corridors of the brain, discovering how simple vibrations in the air can transport us to childhood memories, bring tears to our eyes, or guide us into the deepest, most restorative sleep. We'll explore the science behind the magic, but more than that, we'll feel it. You see, music is not just sound, it's memory made audible. It's the language our hearts speak when words fall short. And somewhere in the intricate dance between melody and mind, we find something remarkable, ourselves. So settle in wherever you are, let your breathing find its natural rhythm. Close your eyes if you wish. We have all the time in the world to understand how music becomes the gentle soundtrack of our lives. What happens in the brain when we hear music? When that first note reaches your ears, something extraordinary begins to unfold. Picture your brain as a vast cathedral with countless chambers and pathways, each one awakening as music flows through its halls. The journey begins in your auditory cortex, nestled in the temporal lobe. Think of it as the brain's listening room. Here, sound waves are transformed into electrical signals, like whispers becoming thoughts. But music doesn't stop there. Oh no, it's far too adventurous for that. From this first chamber, the melody spreads like gentle ripples across a still pond. It flows to the limbic system, that ancient, emotional heart of the brain. Here, in structures with names like poetry, the amygdala, the hippocampus, music begins to weave its deeper magic. The amygdala, our emotions' guardian, responds to music the way a flower responds to sunlight. It doesn't ask why, it simply opens. This is why a song can make you cry before you even remember why it matters to you. This is why certain melodies can transport you instantly to your grandmother's kitchen or that first dance. Meanwhile, the hippocampus, our memory's librarian, begins pulling books from its endless shelves. A chord progression here, a rhythm there, and suddenly you're 15 again, driving with the windows down, feeling infinite. But perhaps most beautiful of all is what happens in your brain's reward center. Here, a chemical called dopamine, the brain's way of saying, yes, more of this, flows like warm honey. It's the same chemical released when we experience love, when we taste something delicious, when we witness something beautiful. Music, you see, doesn't just sound good. To your brain, it literally is good. And then there's serotonin, that gentle messenger of well-being, washing through your neural pathways like a warm tide. This is why music can transform a difficult day, why it can make loneliness feel less lonely, why it can turn a simple moment into something sacred. What's remarkable is how this all happens without your conscious effort. You don't have to think about processing rhythm or melody. Your brain simply knows what to do with these organized vibrations the way a plant knows how to grow toward light. Every time you hear music, millions of neurons fire in perfect synchrony, creating patterns as beautiful as any symphony. Your brain becomes both the instrument and the audience, the composer and the listener, all at once. Music and emotions. There's a reason we say music moves us. It doesn't just enter our ears. It inhabits our entire being, flowing through the chambers of our hearts like a gentle river finding its way to the sea. Think about the last time a song made you cry, not because the lyrics were sad, but because something in the melody itself seemed to reach inside you and touch a place words couldn't reach. This is music speaking its native language, the language of emotion. When we hear a minor key, something in our neural architecture recognizes it as melancholy, even before we consciously process the sound. It's as if our brains have an emotional compass, and music is the magnetic north that guides it. Major keys lift us up like birds taking flight. Minor keys invite us inward like quiet contemplation by a fireplace. A song captures exactly what you're going through. It's as if the universe is saying, yes, I understand, but it's not just about happy or sad. Music carries emotional colors that don't even have names in our spoken language. There's that particular shade of nostalgia that comes with certain chord progressions, the way they make you miss places you've never been, people you've never met. There's the specific flavor of hope that rises in a crescendo, or the texture of peace that settles in a gentle resolution. Our brains are constantly predicting what comes next in a melody. When the music resolves in ways we expect, we feel satisfaction, like a question being answered. When it surprises us, an unexpected chord, a sudden key change, we feel tension, excitement, even joy. This is why music can feel like a conversation between the composer and our souls. The tempo of music synchronizes with our heartbeat, our breathing, even our brainwaves. Play something slow and gentle, and your entire nervous system begins to match that rhythm. This isn't metaphor, it's measurable physiology. Your heart rate slows, your blood pressure drops, your muscles release tension you didn't know you were holding. This is why lullabies work so beautifully. They're not just songs, they're gentle invitations for your entire being to find rest. The rhythm mimics the steady, slow breathing of deep sleep. The melody rises and falls like the gentle swell of ocean waves. Your nervous system can't help but follow along like a child following a parent's lead. And then there are those songs that become part of our identity, the ones that feel like they were written just for us. When we hear them, we don't just remember who we were when we first heard them. We remember who we could become. Music doesn't just reflect our emotions. It shapes them, expands them, gives them colors and textures and depths we might never have discovered on our own. This is the tender miracle of music and emotion. It makes us feel less alone in our feelings. When and others have felt this too. You are not alone. The science of melody, rhythm, and harmony. Let's take a moment to explore the architecture of sound itself. How simple vibrations in the air become the complex emotional landscapes we call music. Imagine sound as ripples in an invisible pond. When a piano key is pressed, it creates vibrations that travel through the air at exactly 343 meters per second. These aren't just random disturbances. They're organized, purposeful patterns that your brain recognizes as music. Every note has a frequency, a specific number of vibrations per second. The note A above middle C vibrates at 440 times per second, 440 hertz. But here's where it gets beautiful. When you play two notes together whose frequencies have simple mathematical relationships, your brain perceives them as harmonious. It's as if mathematics and beauty are speaking the same language. Melody is the horizontal dimension of music. notes flowing through time like a river finding its path. Your brain loves patterns, and melody gives it exactly what it craves: repetition with variation, familiarity with surprise. A good melody is like a skilled conversationalist. It knows when to repeat itself for comfort and when to venture into new territory for interest. Rhythm is the heartbeat of music, the steady pulse that organizes time itself. Your brain has specialized networks for processing rhythm, and they're connected to the motor cortex, the part that controls movement. This is why rhythm makes you want to move, why a good beat can make even the most reserved person tap their foot. Your brain isn't just hearing rhythm, it's feeling it, wanting to join in. But perhaps the most mysterious element is harmony, the vertical dimension of music where multiple notes create something greater than the sum of their parts. When notes are played together in certain combinations, they create what we call chords. Some chords sound stable and resolved, like coming home after a long journey. Others create tension, like a question waiting for an answer. Your brain processes harmony in the prefrontal cortex, the same area involved in problem solving and emotional regulation. This is why complex harmony can feel intellectually satisfying and emotionally rich at the same time. Jazz musicians know this intuitively. They build entire conversations out of harmonic tension and resolution. The beautiful thing is how your brain learns to anticipate these patterns. After hearing just a few notes of a familiar song, your auditory cortex begins predicting what comes next. When the prediction is correct, you feel satisfaction. When it's beautifully wrong, you feel surprise and delight. This is why repetition is so powerful in music. Each time a melody repeats, it becomes more familiar, more comfortable, more like home. But too much repetition becomes boring. So the best music finds that perfect balance, familiar enough to feel safe, surprising enough to stay interesting. And here's something wonderful. Your brain processes all of this: melody, rhythm, harmony, timbre, simultaneously and instantaneously. You don't have to think about it. You simply experience it, the way you experience the warmth of sunlight or the comfort of a gentle breeze. Musical memory. There's something almost mystical about the way music lodges itself in our memories. A few notes of a song you haven't heard in decades can instantly transport you to a specific moment, a specific feeling, a specific version of yourself that you thought was lost forever. This is the hippocampus at work, that seahorse-shaped structure in your brain that serves as memory's gatekeeper. But the hippocampus doesn't work alone when it comes to musical memory. It partners with the emotional centers of your brain, creating what scientists call episodic memory. Memories that are rich with context, emotion, and sensory detail. When you hear a song that matters to you, multiple areas of your brain light up simultaneously. The auditory cortex processes the sound, the limbic system adds emotional color, and the hippocampus weaves it all together with the story of your life. This is why musical memories feel so vivid, so complete, so real. Think about the songs from your childhood, the ones that played during car rides, at birthday parties, during quiet evenings at home. These weren't just background music. They were the soundtrack to your developing identity. Your young brain, hungry for patterns and meaning, absorbed these melodies along with the love, safety, and wonder of being cared for. This is why certain songs can make you feel like a child again, not just in memory, but in your entire being. Your nervous system remembers the state you were in when you first heard them. The sense of being protected, of being loved, of having your whole life ahead of you. The phenomenon becomes even more remarkable when we consider how music can unlock memories that seemed lost. In patients with Alzheimer's disease, musical memories often remain intact long after other memories have faded. A song from someone's youth can bring back not just the melody, but their personality, their relationships, their sense of self. This happens because musical memory is stored in multiple places throughout the brain. It's not just in one location that can be damaged or lost. It's distributed across networks that connect sound, emotion, movement, and meaning. When one pathway is blocked, the music finds another way through. Scientists call this redundant encoding, the brain's way of making sure important information survives. And apparently, to the brain, music is very important indeed, more important than names, faces, or even words. Music, it seems, is how the brain remembers what it feels like to be human. There's also something called the reminiscence bump, the tendency for people to have especially vivid memories of music from their teenage years and early 20s. This isn't just nostalgia, it's neuroscience. During these formative years, your brain is especially plastic, especially ready to form lasting connections. The music you love during this time literally becomes part of your neural architecture. And here's perhaps the most beautiful aspect of musical memory. It's not just about the past. Every time you hear a meaningful song, your brain doesn't just recall the memory, it updates it. It adds new layers, new meanings, new emotional colors. The song becomes richer, more complex, more truly yours. This is why a song can mean one thing to you at 20 and something entirely different at 40. The melody stays the same, but you change, and your brain weaves those changes into the music itself. Each listening becomes a conversation between who you were and who you are becoming. Music therapy in the modern world. In hospitals around the world, a quiet revolution is taking place. In pediatric wards, oncology units, and rehabilitation centers, trained music therapists are using melody, rhythm, and harmony as medicine. Not metaphorically, but literally, as measurable, evidence-based interventions that heal the body and restore the spirit. This isn't New Age wishful thinking. It's rigorous science applied with infinite compassion. When a music therapist works with a stroke patient, helping them sing words they can no longer speak, something remarkable happens in the brain. The musical networks, often undamaged by the stroke, begin to create new pathways around the injured areas. The brain literally rewires itself, using music as the blueprint for healing. In dementia care, music therapy has shown results that seem almost miraculous. Patients who have lost the ability to recognize their own children can still remember every word of a song from their youth. When they sing together, something in their eyes returns, a spark of recognition, of joy, of connection to who they used to be. The science behind this is both complex and beautiful. Music activates the brain's reward systems, releasing dopamine and endorphins, the body's natural painkillers and mood elevators. It synchronizes brain waves, creating states of focused attention and deep relaxation. It regulates breathing and heart rate, reducing stress hormones and supporting the immune system. In neonatal intensive care units, premature babies who listen to music show faster weight gain, shorter hospital stays, and better overall development. The music mimics the rhythmic sounds they would have heard in the womb, the mother's heartbeat, the whoosh of blood flow, the gentle percussion of life itself. For children with autism, music therapy provides a bridge to communication and social connection. The structured, predictable nature of music creates a safe space where they can explore expression and interaction. Rhythm helps organize their sensory experience, while melody provides emotional vocabulary they might not otherwise have access to. Perhaps most remarkably, music therapy is being used in pain management. When patients listen to music during medical procedures, their brains release endorphins and other natural painkillers. The music doesn't just distract from pain, it actually changes how the brain processes painful stimuli. This is why surgeons are increasingly using music in operating rooms, not just for ambiance, but as a therapeutic tool. The beauty of music as medicine is its gentleness. Unlike pharmaceutical interventions, music has no negative side effects. It works with the body's natural healing mechanisms, supporting and amplifying them rather than overriding them. It treats not just symptoms, but the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. In mental health treatment, music therapy helps people access emotions they can't put into words. Depression often involves a disconnection from feeling, an emotional numbness that can be difficult to break through. Music provides a safe container for exploring these feelings, a way to experience sadness, anger, or joy without being overwhelmed by them. For trauma survivors, music can be both a refuge and a path to healing. The rhythmic, predictable structure of music can help regulate a nervous system that has been dysregulated by trauma. The emotional expression possible through music can help process experiences that are too overwhelming for words. This is the profound gift of music therapy. It meets people where they are, speaks their language, and guides them gently toward healing. It reminds us that we are not just biological machines to be fixed, but complex beings who need beauty, meaning, and connection to truly thrive. Healing frequencies and binaural beats. There's an ancient understanding that sound itself can heal, that certain frequencies carry within them the power to restore balance, reduce stress, and promote well-being. Modern science is beginning to validate what mystics and healers have known for millennia. Not all frequencies are created equal. Let's begin with 432 Hz, often called the miracle tone. When instruments are tuned to this frequency instead of the standard 440 Hz, many people report feeling more relaxed, more centered, more connected to something larger than themselves. While the scientific evidence is still emerging, the subjective experience is remarkable. The sound seems to resonate not just in your ears, but in your entire being. But perhaps the most fascinating development in sound healing is the use of binaural beats, the phenomenon that occurs when you play slightly different frequencies in each ear. Your brain, trying to make sense of this difference, creates a third frequency that exists only in your mind. This is called the beat frequency, and it can be used to influence your brainwave patterns. When your brain is in alpha state, between 8 and 12 Hz, You're relaxed but alert, creative but focused. This is the state of gentle meditation, of artistic inspiration, of being fully present in the moment. By listening to binaural beats in the alpha range, you can guide your brain into this beneficial state. Theta frequencies, between 4 and 8 Hz, are associated with deep meditation, REM sleep, and profound creativity. This is the state where insights arise, where healing happens, where you connect with parts of yourself that are usually hidden beneath the surface of conscious awareness. Theta binaural beats can help you access this state safely and comfortably. Delta frequencies, below 4 Hz, are the waves of deep, restorative sleep. These are the frequencies. Some researchers believe 432 Hz resonates with the natural frequency of the Earth itself, creating a sense of harmony with the planet we call home. Whether this is scientifically accurate or beautifully poetic doesn't diminish its effect. When you listen to music tuned to 432 Hz, notice how your breathing changes, how your muscles release tension, how your mind settles into a state of gentle awareness. Then there's 528 Hz, known as the love frequency. This is the frequency used in the mi tone of the ancient solfeggio scale, and it's said to promote healing, DNA repair, and emotional balance. Again, the mechanisms aren't fully understood, but the experience is undeniable. Music at 528 Hz seems to create a sense of warmth, of connection, of being held by something benevolent. Theta frequencies, between 4 and 8 Hz, are associated with deep meditation, REM sleep, and profound creativity. This is the state where insights arise, where healing, but perhaps the most fascinating development in sound healing is the use of binaural beats, the phenomenon that occurs when you play slightly different frequencies in each ear. Your brain, trying to make sense of this difference, creates a third frequency that exists only in your mind. This is called the beat frequency, and it can be used to influence your brainwave patterns. When your brain is in alpha state, between 8 and 12 Hz, you're relaxed but alert, creative but focused. This is the state of gentle meditation, of artistic inspiration, of being fully present in the moment. By listening to binaural beats in the alpha range, you can guide your brain into this beneficial state. Happens where you connect with parts of yourself that are usually hidden beneath the surface of conscious awareness. Theta binaural beats can help you access this state safely and comfortably. Delta frequencies, below 4 Hz, are the waves of deep, restorative sleep. These are the frequencies that help your body heal, your mind process the day's experiences, and your spirit find rest. Delta binaural beats can be particularly helpful for people who struggle with insomnia or restless sleep. The beautiful thing about these frequencies is that they work with your brain's natural rhythms rather than against them. Your brain is constantly producing electrical activity, and these frequencies simply provide a gentle guide, like a tuning fork helping a piano find its proper pitch. Some people are more sensitive to these frequencies than others. Some feel the effects immediately, while others need repeated exposure. There's no right or wrong way to respond. The key is to approach these sounds with curiosity and openness, allowing your body and mind to respond in their own way, at their own pace. What's remarkable is how these frequencies seem to remind us of something we already know. It's as if our bodies recognize these sounds, remember them from some deep cellular level. Perhaps we're remembering the frequency of our mother's heartbeat, the rhythm of waves on a shore, the sound of wind through ancient trees. This is the gift of healing frequencies. They don't impose healing from the outside. They simply create conditions where your body's own healing intelligence can flourish. They remind you that you are not separate from the natural world, but part of its grand symphony of frequency and rhythm. How music reduces stress and anxiety. In our modern world, stress has become the background noise of daily life, but music offers us something precious, a gentle, natural way to shift from the chaos of stress into the calm of presence. The science of how this happens is as beautiful as the experience itself. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol, the stress hormone that prepares you for fight or flight. Your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow, your muscles tense. It's an ancient response designed to help you survive immediate danger. But in our modern world, this response can become chronic, wearing down your body and mind. Music interrupts this stress response in several remarkable ways. First, it activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your nervous system responsible for rest and digest rather than fight or flight. Slow, gentle music with a tempo around 60 to 70 beats per minute naturally synchronizes with your resting heart rate, encouraging your entire system to slow down and find balance. The act of listening to music you enjoy releases dopamine and endorphins, natural mood elevators that counteract stress hormones. It's like giving your brain a gentle massage from the inside. The familiar pleasure of a beloved melody can shift your neurochemistry within minutes, sometimes within seconds. Breathing is perhaps the most immediate way music affects stress. When you listen to music with long, flowing phrases, your breathing naturally synchronizes with the musical phrases. This is called entrainment, and it's a powerful tool for stress reduction. As your breathing slows and deepens, it sends signals to your brain that it's safe to relax. The volume and timbre of music also matter. Soft, warm tones activate the vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve that connects your brain to your heart, lungs, and digestive system. When the vagus nerve is activated, it triggers the relaxation response throughout your body. This is why certain instruments like the human voice, cello, or flute are particularly effective for stress relief. Music also provides what psychologists call cognitive reappraisal, a way of reframing stressful situations. When you're listening to beautiful music, your brain is focused on processing complex, pleasant stimuli rather than ruminating on stressful thoughts. It's not just distraction, it's a complete shift in neural activity from stress-producing patterns to peace-producing ones. For people with anxiety, music can be particularly powerful. Anxiety often involves a hypersensitive nervous system, always scanning for threats. Music provides a safe focal point for attention, something beautiful and non-threatening to concentrate on. The predictable structure of music, its rhythm, melody, and harmony, creates a sense of order and safety that anxious minds desperately need. Interestingly, you don't have to like music for it to reduce stress. Even when people report not being musical, their bodies still respond to the physiological effects of sound. Heart rate still synchronizes with rhythm. Breathing still deepens with longer phrases. Stress hormones still decrease with pleasant tones. But the music you actively enjoy has an even more powerful effect. When you hear music you love, your brain releases larger amounts of dopamine and endorphins. The emotional connection you have to the music amplifies its stress-reducing effects. This is why your favorite songs can shift your mood so quickly and completely. The timing of music also matters. Regular listening to calming music can actually change your baseline stress levels over time. People who make relaxing music part of their daily routine show lower cortisol levels, better sleep quality, and improved immune function. It's as if the music creates a reservoir of calm that you can draw from throughout the day. This is the gentle miracle of music and stress. It doesn't require any effort or skill on your part. You simply need to listen, to allow the sounds to wash over you, to let your body remember what it feels like to be at peace. In a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming, music offers us a return to our natural state of calm, centered presence. The soundtrack of sleep. Sleep is perhaps the most vulnerable state we enter each day, a time when we surrender control and trust our bodies to restore and heal. Music has been humanity's companion in this journey to rest for thousands of years, and now science is revealing why certain sounds guide us so naturally into sleep's embrace. The transition from waking to sleeping is like crossing a bridge between two worlds. Your brain needs to shift from the active, alert patterns of beta waves to the slower, more rhythmic patterns of alpha, theta, and finally delta waves. Music can be the gentle guide that helps your brain navigate this transition safely and smoothly. Lullabies exist in every culture on Earth, and they all share certain characteristics that modern sleep science has shown to be profoundly effective. The tempo is slow, usually between 60 to 80 beats per minute, matching the rhythm of a relaxed heart. The melody is simple and repetitive, providing predictability that helps an anxious mind settle. The dynamics are soft, never startling or jarring, but lullabies do something even more profound. They mimic the sounds of the womb. The gentle whoosh of blood flow, the rhythm of a mother's heartbeat, the muffled sounds of the outside world, all are echoed in the flowing melodies and soft textures of a good lullaby. This is why lullabies work not just for babies, but for people of all ages. We all carry within us the memory of being completely safe and cared for. The key to sleep-inducing music is its ability to slow down your nervous system gradually. Abrupt changes in tempo or volume can trigger alertness responses that pull you back from the edge of sleep. The best sleep music creates a gentle downward spiral, each phrase slightly slower, slightly softer, slightly more peaceful than the last. Natural sounds, rain, ocean waves, gentle wind, are particularly effective for sleep because they provide what's called pink noise. Unlike white noise, which contains all frequencies at equal intensity, pink noise has more energy in the lower frequencies, creating a sound that's both masking and soothing. Your brain can focus on these pleasant, predictable sounds rather than the random noises that might otherwise disturb your sleep. Instrumental music tends to be more effective for sleep than music with lyrics. Words engage the language centers of your brain, potentially keeping you in a more alert state. The exception is very soft, wordless vocals, humming, gentle ah sounds, or singing in unfamiliar languages. These sounds can be soothing without being linguistically stimulating. The frequency range of sleep music also matters. Very high frequencies can be alerting, while very low frequencies can be disturbing. The sweet spot seems to be in the middle frequencies, the range of the human voice, of gentle instruments like piano, guitar, or soft strings. These frequencies are naturally comforting to the human ear. Volume is crucial for sleep music. It should be just loud enough to be heard, but soft enough that it never startles. Many people find that music that gradually fades in volume over time is most effective, starting at a comfortable listening level and slowly becoming almost inaudible. This mirrors the natural process of falling asleep, where awareness gradually dims. Repetition is also important. Music that loops seamlessly without obvious beginnings or endings helps maintain the hypnotic quality that leads to sleep. Your brain learns the pattern and stops analyzing it, allowing you to sink deeper into rest. For people with insomnia, music can be particularly helpful because it gives the restless mind something peaceful to focus on. Instead of lying in bed with racing thoughts, you can follow the gentle flow of melody, letting it carry you like a river flowing toward the sea of sleep. Some people find that the same piece of music becomes more effective over time as their brain associates it with sleep. This is called classical conditioning. Your body learns to prepare for sleep as soon as the familiar sounds begin. It's like having a musical key that unlocks the door to rest. The most beautiful aspect of sleep music is how it honors the sacredness of rest. In a world that often treats sleep as lost productivity, music reminds us that rest is not just necessary but beautiful. It's a time when our bodies heal, our minds process the day's experiences, and our spirits connect with something larger than our daily concerns. As you listen to sleep music, you're participating in an ancient human tradition, using sound to create safety, comfort, and peace. You're joining a chorus that stretches back to the first mother humming to her child, the first person singing to calm their own fears in the darkness. Cultural wisdom and ancient music. Long before we had neuroscience to explain music's healing power, indigenous cultures around the world understood that sound could heal, transform, and connect us to something sacred. These traditions, passed down through thousands of years, offer us wisdom about music's deepest purposes. In many Native American traditions, the drum is considered the heartbeat of Mother Earth. When people gather in drum circles, they're not just making music, they're synchronizing their heartbeats with each other and with the rhythms of the natural world. Modern research has confirmed what these cultures always knew. Rhythmic drumming can induce trance states, reduce anxiety, and create profound feelings of connection and unity. The Aboriginal people of Australia have used the didgeridoo for over 40,000 years. The deep, resonant tones of this instrument create vibrations that can be felt throughout the body. Playing the didgeridoo requires circular breathing, a technique that naturally induces meditative states. The low frequencies produced by the instrument are now known to stimulate the production of endorphins and reduce stress hormones. In Tibetan tradition, singing bowls have been used for centuries to induce states of deep meditation and healing. The pure, sustained tones of these metal bowls create what acousticians call perfect pitch, frequencies that are mathematically precise and harmonically rich. When you hear a singing bowl, your brain entrains to its frequency, naturally shifting into states of calm awareness. Hindu and Buddhist traditions gave us the concept of mantra, sacred sounds that are repeated to focus the mind and connect with divine consciousness. The sound Om is considered the primordial sound, the vibration from which all creation emerged. When you chant Om, you're not just making a sound, you're aligning your personal vibration with the fundamental frequency of the universe. Gregorian chant, developed in medieval Europe, creates a similar effect. The sustained, flowing melodies and rich harmonies induce what researchers call altered states of consciousness. The acoustic properties of stone cathedrals amplify and sustain these sounds, creating immersive sonic environments that transport listeners beyond ordinary awareness. In many African traditions, music is inseparable from healing. The rhythms, melodies, and call-and-response patterns of traditional healing songs are designed to induce specific therapeutic states. The polyrhythmic complexity of African music engages multiple areas of the brain simultaneously, creating integration and wholeness. Ancient Greek philosophers understood music as a form of medicine. They believed that different mode scales could produce different effects on the body and mind. The Dorian mode was thought to create courage and stability, while the Phrygian mode was considered ecstatic and transformative. Modern research has found that different scales do indeed produce different neurological responses. What's remarkable about these ancient traditions is how they all arrived at similar understandings about music's power, despite developing in complete isolation from each other. Across cultures and continents, humans discovered that certain sounds could heal, certain rhythms could transform consciousness, and certain melodies could connect us to the sacred. These traditions also understood something that we sometimes forget in our modern world. Music is not entertainment. It's medicine. It's prayer. It's a way of maintaining harmony between the individual and the cosmos, between the human and the divine, between the personal and the universal. Perhaps most importantly, these ancient practices understood that music is participatory. You don't just listen to healing music, you become part of it. Through singing, chanting, drumming, or simply moving to the rhythm, you join the healing process. You become both the instrument and the musician, the healer and the healed. This is the gift of cultural wisdom. It reminds us that our relationship with music is not just personal but ancestral. When we listen to healing music, we're connecting with thousands of years of human experience, with the accumulated wisdom of countless generations who discovered that sound can heal, transform, and awaken. In our modern world, we often think of music as background, something pleasant to have on while we do other things. But these ancient traditions remind us that music can be foreground, medicine, prayer, and pathway to transformation. They invite us to listen not just with our ears, but with our entire being, to receive not just entertainment, but healing. Why we all have a musical fingerprint. Just as no two people have identical fingerprints, no two people have identical musical tastes. Your musical preferences are as unique as your DNA, shaped by your experiences, your culture, your emotional history, and even your neurological makeup. This is your musical fingerprint, a pattern of sound that resonates with the deepest parts of who you are. Think about the music that moves you most deeply. Perhaps it's the folk songs your grandmother sang, carrying melodies that crossed oceans and generations to reach your ears. Maybe it's the jazz that played during your first dance, forever linking those chord progressions to feelings of love and possibility. Or it could be the electronic beats that helped you through a difficult time, their precise rhythms providing order when everything else felt chaotic. Your musical fingerprint begins forming before you're even born. In the womb, you're already learning to recognize your mother's voice, the rhythm of her heartbeat, the musical patterns of her native language. These early sonic experiences create the foundation for your lifelong relationship with sound. They become your first musical memory, though you'll never consciously recall them. As you grow, your musical fingerprint continues to develop through what scientists call mere exposure effect. The music you hear most often becomes familiar, and familiarity breeds preference. But it's not just about repetition. It's about the emotional context in which you hear the music. Songs that accompany positive experiences become permanently linked to those feelings in your neural networks. Your cultural background adds another layer to your musical fingerprint. The scales, rhythms, and timbres of your cultural heritage create neural pathways that make certain sounds feel like home. A person raised with pentatonic scales might find Western harmony slightly foreign, while someone steeped in Western classical tradition might need time to appreciate the subtleties of Indian ragas. But your musical fingerprint isn't fixed. It continues to evolve throughout your life. Each new song you love, each genre you discover, each musical experience that moves you adds new patterns to your unique sonic signature. This is why music can be such a powerful tool for personal growth and self-discovery. Your personality also shapes your musical preferences in fascinating ways. People who are open to new experiences tend to enjoy complex, experimental music. Those who value tradition often gravitate toward familiar genres and classic songs. Introverts might prefer instrumental music that allows for internal reflection, while extroverts might be drawn to music that encourages social connection and movement. Even your brain structure influences your musical fingerprint. People with more developed auditory cortexes often prefer complex, layered music that gives their brains something substantial to process. Those with strong connections between their emotional and motor centers might be drawn to music that makes them want to move, to dance, to express themselves physically. Your musical fingerprint also reflects your emotional needs. Music that helps you process difficult emotions becomes precious to you. Songs that lift your spirits when you're down, or that help you feel less alone when you're struggling, become part of your emotional toolkit. This is why people often have such strong reactions to others criticizing their favorite music. It's not just about taste, it's about emotional survival. The beautiful thing about musical fingerprints is that they're both deeply personal and universally human. While your specific preferences are unique, the underlying needs that music fulfills, connection, meaning, emotional regulation, transcendence, are shared by all humans. This is why music can be such a powerful bridge between people, even when their tastes are very different. music and movement. Your body knows music before your mind does. When a rhythm starts, your foot begins to tap without conscious thought. When a melody rises, your shoulders lift slightly. When the beat drops, your whole body wants to move. This isn't learned behavior. It's wired into your neural architecture. The connection between music and movement begins in the brainstem, in areas that control both rhythm processing and motor function. These regions are so closely connected that they're essentially one system. When you hear a beat, your motor cortex automatically begins preparing your body to move in sync with it. This is why rhythm doesn't just sound good, it feels good in your muscles, your joints, your entire physical being. This connection serves an important evolutionary purpose. For most of human history, music was inseparable from movement. Songs were for dancing, for work, for ceremony. All activities that required physical coordination. The people who could move well together could work well together, could survive together. Music became the technology that allowed groups to synchronize their movements and, by extension, their efforts. When you move to music, several remarkable things happen in your brain. The motor cortex, which controls movement, begins to fire in sync with the auditory cortex, which processes sound. This creates what neuroscientists call sensoromotor coupling, a state where perception and action become one fluid system. This synchronization has profound effects on your entire nervous system. Moving to music reduces cortisol levels, releases endorphins, and activates the reward centers of your brain. It's like giving yourself a natural antidepressant, administered through the simple act of letting your body respond to rhythm. You don't have to be a good dancer to experience these benefits. Even simple movements, swaying, tapping, nodding your head, activate the same neural pathways. Your body doesn't judge your movement. It simply celebrates the connection between sound and motion. Walking to music is one of the most natural and beneficial forms of movement. When you walk to a steady beat, your gait becomes more efficient, your breathing more rhythmic, your entire body more coordinated. This is why music is so effective for rehabilitation after injury or illness. It helps the body remember how to move with grace and efficiency. The tempo of music naturally influences your movement speed. Slow music encourages slow, deliberate movement that can be meditative and calming. Fast music energizes and activates, encouraging more vigorous movement. Your body automatically adjusts its pace to match the musical tempo, creating a natural form of movement therapy. But movement to music isn't just physical, it's emotional and social. When you dance, even alone, you're expressing feelings that might be difficult to put into words. Your body becomes a translator, converting the abstract language of music into the concrete language of movement. When you move to music with others, something even more magical happens. Your movements begin to synchronize, creating what researchers call embodied empathy. You're not just moving together. You're feeling together, thinking together, becoming temporarily part of something larger than yourself. This is why every culture has developed forms of group dancing and movement to music. It's not just entertainment, it's a way of creating social bonds, sharing emotions, and celebrating our common humanity. When you move to music with others, you're participating in one of humanity's oldest and most important rituals. Creating versus listening. There's a fundamental difference between consuming music and creating it, between being an audience and being a participant. When you make music, Whether by singing in the shower, humming a tune, or playing an instrument, you activate different neural networks and experience different benefits than when you simply listen. Creating music engages your motor cortex in a much more complex way than listening does. When you sing, your brain has to coordinate breathing, pitch, rhythm, and articulation simultaneously. When you play an instrument, you add fine motor control, hand-eye coordination, and often reading musical notation. This complex coordination strengthens neural pathways and creates new connections between different brain regions. The act of creating music also activates your brain's reward centers more intensely than listening does. When you successfully hit a note, keep a rhythm, or complete a song, your brain releases dopamine in response to your achievement. This is why making music can be so addictive. Your brain literally rewards you for creating sound, but you don't need to be a skilled musician to experience these benefits. Simply humming along with a song activates many of the same neural pathways as trained singing. When you tap your fingers to a beat, you're exercising the same rhythm processing networks that professional drummers use. Your brain doesn't distinguish between amateur and professional music making. It simply celebrates the act of creation. Singing, in particular, has profound physiological effects. When you sing, you naturally regulate your breathing, taking deeper breaths and exhaling more completely than usual. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, reducing stress and promoting feelings of calm and well-being. Singing also releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which is why group singing creates such strong feelings of connection and community. The vibrations created by singing also have physical effects on your body. When you sing, the sound waves resonate through your chest, throat, and head, creating a gentle internal massage. This is why singing can feel so physically satisfying. You're literally vibrating with the music. Creating music also engages your creative problem-solving abilities in unique ways. When you improvise, whether by varying a melody, adding harmonies, or creating rhythmic variations, you're exercising your brain's ability to generate novel solutions in real time. This is why musical improvisation has been shown to enhance creativity in other areas of life. The social aspects of music creation are equally important. When you make music with others, you have to listen carefully, respond appropriately, and blend your voice or instrument with theirs. This develops empathy, cooperation, and communication skills that extend far beyond music. Perhaps most importantly, creating music gives you a sense of agency and empowerment. Instead of being a passive recipient of someone else's artistic vision, you become an active participant in the creative process. You discover that you have something unique to contribute, that your voice or musical expression has value. This is why music education is so important and why it's never too late to start making music. You don't need to become a professional musician to benefit from music creation. You simply need to be willing to make sounds, to explore, to play. Your brain will do the rest, rewarding you with increased neural connectivity, improved mood, and a deeper connection to the universal language of music. The beautiful thing about creating music is that it's both deeply personal and inherently social. When you hum a tune, you're having a private conversation with yourself. When you share that tune with others, you're opening a window into your inner world. Music creation is how we transform our internal experiences into something external that others can share and understand. The silence between notes. In the spaces between sounds, something profound happens. The silence between notes is not empty. It's pregnant with possibility, rich with meaning, essential to music's power to move us. Without silence, music would be noise. Without pauses, melodies would be chaos. The silence between notes is where music breathes, where it finds its rhythm, where it creates the space for beauty to emerge. Think about your favorite song. Notice how it uses silence, the brief pause before the chorus, the moment of quiet that makes the next sound more powerful, the space that allows one phrase to end and another to begin. These silences are not accidents. They're carefully crafted elements that shape your emotional response to the music. Your brain processes silence differently than it processes sound. When music stops, your auditory cortex doesn't simply shut down. It remains active, predicting when the next sound will come, maintaining the rhythm and harmony in your mind. This is why silence in music creates tension, anticipation, and ultimately satisfaction when the music returns. The silence between notes also creates space for reflection. In these quiet moments, your mind can process what you've just heard, can feel the emotional impact of the music, can prepare for what comes next. This is why music with thoughtful use of silence often feels more meaningful, more profound than music that fills every moment with sound. In meditation traditions around the world, silence is considered as important as sound. The practice of listening to silence, really listening with full attention, develops a different kind of awareness. You begin to notice the subtle sounds that are always present. Your breathing, your heartbeat, the gentle hum of the world around you. This is the silence that music emerges from and returns to. There's a famous piece by composer John Cage called 433 that consists entirely of silence. For 4 minutes and 33 seconds, the performer sits at the piano but plays no notes. The music is the ambient sounds of the environment, the rustling of programs, the shifting of bodies in seats, the distant sounds of traffic or air conditioning. Cage was teaching us that silence is never truly empty, and that listening itself is a form of music. Silence in music also mirrors the rhythms of life itself. Just as your heart has moments of rest between beats, just as your breathing has pauses between inhale and exhale, music has moments of stillness between sounds. These pauses are not interruptions. They're essential to the rhythm of existence. When you listen to music with awareness of the silence between notes, you develop a deeper appreciation for both sound and stillness. You begin to understand that music is not just about the notes that are played, but about the spaces where notes could be played but aren't. This is the art of musical restraint, the wisdom of knowing when not to play. The silence between notes also teaches us about presence. In these quiet moments, you can't anticipate what's coming next. You can only be fully present with what is. This is why music can be such a powerful meditation, such an effective tool for developing mindfulness. It brings you into the present moment, into the space between thoughts, into the stillness that is always available beneath the surface of your busy mind. Perhaps most beautifully, the silence between notes reminds us that music is not separate from life. It is life. The pauses, the breathing spaces, the moments of stillness are not empty breaks in the music. They are integral parts of the musical experience. Just as rest is an integral part of activity, just as peace is an integral part of passion. This is the profound gift of silence in music. It teaches us that emptiness is not empty, that stillness is not static, that in the spaces between sounds, infinite possibility exists. When you learn to listen to the silence between notes, you learn to listen to the silence between thoughts, between breaths, between heartbeats. You discover that in this silence, everything is possible. Music as a mirror of the soul. As our journey through the landscape of music and mind draws to a close, we find ourselves back where we began, in that quiet room at twilight, where simple vibrations in the air become something far more profound. We've explored the neural pathways and neurochemical cascades, the frequencies and brain waves, the cultural wisdom and personal fingerprints that make music such a powerful force in human experience. But perhaps the most important thing we've discovered is this. Music is not something that happens to you from the outside. It's something that happens within you, something that reveals who you are, something that mirrors the depths of your own soul. When you listen to music that moves you, you're not just hearing organized sound, you're hearing your own emotions reflected back to you. Your own experiences given melody and rhythm, your own hopes and fears translated into the universal language of music. The music doesn't create these feelings, it simply gives them voice, gives them form, gives them permission to be fully experienced. This is why music can be such a powerful tool for self-discovery. In the songs that make you cry, you discover what touches your heart. In the rhythms that make you move, you discover what energizes your spirit. In the melodies that calm your mind, you discover what brings you peace. Music becomes a mirror, reflecting back to you the landscape of your own inner world. Every person's relationship with music is unique, as individual as their fingerprint, as personal as their dreams. The lullaby that soothes one person might energize another. The rhythm that inspires one soul might overwhelm another. There is no right or wrong way to experience music. There is only your way, authentic and true to who you are. This is the beautiful democracy of music. It doesn't require education or training or special equipment. It asks only that you listen, that you remain open, that you allow yourself to be moved. Whether you're a trained musician or someone who simply enjoys humming in the shower, music offers you the same gifts: connection, meaning, healing, and joy. As you carry these insights into your daily life, remember that you are surrounded by music at every moment. The rhythm of your breathing, the melody of your heartbeat, the harmony of your voice joining with others in conversation. All of these are music. Life itself is music, and you are both the composer and the audience, the instrument and the musician. When you need comfort, let music hold you. When you need energy, let music lift you. When you need peace, let music still you. Thank you, my listener, for spending this quiet moment with me. Until next time, sleep well and stay curious.